Once upon a time, there was a big, beautiful kingdom called Duskarn. The king's name was Kalen. He lived in a huge stone castle with tall towers and big, heavy doors. Inside, you could hear the sound of a crackling fire and clinking dishes. King Kalen had lots of food, lots of warm blankets, and lots of rooms. But the music of the castle turned slightly somber here because he never shared with anyone. If someone knocked on his door asking for help, he would say in a harsh, dismissive voice, "Go away, that is not my problem." He was not a very nice king. One winter night, a huge storm came. The wind began to howl. A low rumble of distant thunder grew closer. Then, a loud, sharp crack of thunder boomed. A bright flash of lightning lit up the sky. Rain poured down like a waterfall. An old woman stood at the big castle gate, hunched and dripping wet. She looked so cold and miserable as she shivered. She held up a delicate white flower. In a weak, pleading voice, she called out, "Please, can I come inside? Just until the storm stops." A guard's footsteps hurried on the stone floors as he ran inside to ask the king. The king didn't even look up, speaking with pure annoyance. "Send her away. I don't care about beggars." The guard returned, his voice full of regret. "Sorry, the king says no." The rain seemed to stop. In the eerie silence, the old woman stood very still. Then something amazing happened. A magical shimmer seemed to fill the air. Her eyes began to glow with a bright silver light, like lightning. Her voice was no longer old. It was clear and strong, echoing with power as she revealed herself. She was not really an old woman. She was Thessaly, a powerful magic woman. She dropped the white flower, and it landed with a soft thud. It began to glow and pulse with light as the petals folded inward, closing up tight like a flower going to sleep. A shimmering glass dome appeared around the bud, humming with a low, resonant energy as it floated in the air. Thessaly pointed a finger towards the castle, and her voice boomed with magical force. "You have warmth, and you keep it all for yourself. You have space, and you lock it away. You have a heart somewhere, but you never use it. So now, King Kalen, you are going to learn what it feels like to have nothing." A deep, violent rumble started deep within the earth. The ground started to shake. The sound of stone cracking and splintering filled the courtyard. Big black vines burst from the ground, tearing through wood and shattering glass. They were covered in sharp thorns and grew fast, crawling up the walls, breaking windows, covering everything. You could hear the panicked screams of the guards and servants as they ran away, their voices fading into the distance. Everyone ran away. King Kalen ran through the castle, his desperate footsteps echoing, and slammed the throne room doors shut. He yelled, his voice filled with rage and disbelief. "Stop this! I am the king!" But the magic did not care. A strange, distorting energy filled the room. His shadow on the wall grew bigger and bigger. The sound of fabric ripping and a low, wet, snarling sound began as dark fur grew all over his body. He grew huge and wide and tall. His eyes glowed like smoldering coals. His golden crown fell from his head, landing on the stone floor with a loud, metallic clang that rolled into silence. He opened his mouth to yell, but instead of words, a massive, guttural, bestial roar tore from his throat. It was a sound so powerful, the whole room shook. The windows shattered, the chandelier swung back and forth. Then, an eerie silence fell over the castle. The transformation was complete. King Kalen was now a beast, a big, furry, scary-looking beast. all alone in his broken castle. He saw the glowing glass ball on the floor. He reached for it with a massive clawed hand and picked it up carefully. A thorn pricked his hand and he flinched with a sharp intake of breath, but he didn't drop it. He whispered in his new voice, a deep, sad growl. Who would ever come here? Who would ever want to visit this? The only answer was the lonely sound of the howling wind. No one was left. Thessaly's voice echoed faintly in his memory, a solemn warning. The flower will open only when someone comes to the castle knowing he is a beast and chooses to love him anyway. If the flower dies before that happens, he stays a beast forever. And so, the beast sat alone in his dark, thorny castle. The storm never ended. The castle grew darker and colder. Years went by. 17 long years. He cooked. He read every book. He kept the castle as best he could. And in the courtyard, a single magical pear tree grew. It glowed with a soft silver-white light, and its pears were always ripe and sweet. The beast took care of it. It was the only living, growing thing that stayed with him. 2 days away from the Thorn Castle, which is what people called it now, there was a cozy little village called Calwick. In Calwick lived a girl named Nara. She was 23 years old. She loved books more than almost anything and always had a journal with her. She wrote down everything she noticed, what the sky looked like, what birds she heard, what questions she had. Nara's dad was named Oswin. He was the village record keeper. He was gentle and careful, and he had raised Nara all by himself after her mom died when Nara was just 4 years old. One day, Oswin had to travel north for the village fair. He kissed Nara on the forehead and rode away on his horse. He was supposed to come back in 1 week. He did not come back in 1 week. He did not come back the week after that either. On the 17th day, Oswin finally came home, but he looked terrible. His face was pale. His eyes were scared. He sat at the kitchen table and stared at nothing. Nara put her lamp on the table and sat across from him. She said quietly, "Dad, tell me." And he did. He had gotten lost in the dark forest on the way home. It was creepy and foggy and silent. No birds, no wind, just darkness. Then he saw something amazing, a glowing pear tree in a ruined courtyard. He walked closer. He reached up and took 1 pear, just 1. He thought the tree was abandoned. Then, crash! The big iron gates flew open. A giant beast stepped out. It was huge and dark and furry, with glowing orange eyes. It roared 1 word: thief! Poor Oswin dropped the pear. It hit the ground and split in 2. The beast stared at the broken pear. Then he looked at Oswin. He sniffed the air and said in a deep, growling voice, "You have someone who needs you at home. I can tell." "Go home," said the beast, "but listen carefully. You took something from me, so you owe me. In 3 days, someone from your family must come here, on their own, without being forced. They must stay for 60 days. If nobody comes, I will come to you." Oswin ran home as fast as his horse could go. Nara listened to the whole story. Then she stood up and said, "Then I'll go." "Absolutely not," said Oswin. "Dad," calmly said Nara, "you said it spoke to you. You said it made a deal. Something that just wants to hurt people doesn't make deals. Something that makes deals has rules. That's different from a monster." She started packing her bag. "I'm going." Oswin argued for 2 whole days. Nara packed while he argued. She brought 2 journals, extra ink, a knife for safety, and some food. On the 3rd morning, she hugged her dad tight and walked north. Nara was brave and smart. She didn't just rush in, she thought it through first. What is the difference between being brave and being reckless? The dark forest was exactly as scary as her dad described. The trees were huge and black. There was creepy fog along the ground. It was completely silent. No animals, no wind, nothing. Nara walked through it anyway, writing notes in her journal as she went. Finally, she saw the Thorn Castle. It was massive and covered in black vines. Every window was dark, except two tiny glowing ones way up high. The whole place looked like it belonged in a nightmare. But there, in the courtyard, was the pear tree, glowing soft and silver like a little moon. "Huh," said Nara. She wrote something in her journal. Then she walked to the gate. The gate opened by itself before she even touched it. The beast appeared almost immediately. He was even bigger than her dad had described, tall as a doorway, dark fur, huge hands, and those orange ember eyes staring down at her. "Your father sent you," he said in his growly voice. "My dad told me," said Nara, looking right back at him without blinking. "I decided to come myself. There's a difference." The beast blinked. Nobody talked to him like that. "What are the exact rules of this deal?" Nara asked. He told her. 60 days. She could go anywhere in the castle. They would eat meals together. When 60 days were up, she could go home free. Nara nodded. "Okay, I agree. Let's go." And she walked right past him into the castle. He stood there for a moment. He did not know what to do with this girl. Her room was big and cold and covered in thorn shadows. Nara stood in the middle of it, looked around, found the fireplace, lit it, sat down, and started writing in her journal. Day 1. This castle is enormous. The beast is quieter than I expected. He is careful with how loud he is. That is interesting. The first dinner was quiet and a little awkward. They sat at opposite ends of a very long table. Candles flickered between them. Nara asked, "How long have you been alone here?" A long pause. Then, 17 years. "Wow," said Nara. "That's a really long time." The beast said nothing, but his big shoulders dropped just a little bit. Day by day, Nara explored the castle. She found the ruined ballroom with its broken crystal chandelier. She found the empty kitchen that the beast had learned to use alone. She found rooms full of dead plants, crumbling walls, and best of all, a library. The library was magical. Shelves full of books all the way to the ceiling, dust floating in the light from high windows. It was the most beautiful room in the whole castle. "You read all of these?" she asked, the beast who had followed her quietly to the doorway. "I had 17 years, he said, and no one to talk to. Nara was already pulling books off the shelves, her eyes wide and happy. The beast watched her from the doorway. Something in his chest felt warm. It had been a long time since anything had felt warm. Then, on day 9, something scary happened. Nara found the beast in the courtyard early in the morning. He was slumped against the pear tree. His shoulders were shaking, and his eyes were glassy. Nara ran to him right away. "Can you stand up if I help you?" "You don't have to," he started. "I know I don't have to," she said firmly. "Can you stand?" The beast slowly took her arm. His hand was huge and clawed. Nara did not flinch. She helped him up. She ran to the storerooms, found supplies, made warm soup, and sat by his side for 3 days while he got better. She read to him from books to help pass the time, a long, boring book about bridges and buildings that actually kept him listening because it was interesting. When he got better, he woke up and found Nara sleeping in the chair beside him. She had stayed, all night, every night. He looked at her sleeping face for a long time. Nobody had ever done anything like that for him before. Later, he asked her, "Why did you stay?" She shrugged. "You were sick. I was the only one here. It would have been weird to just leave. Most people would have been afraid to stay near me." "I was a little afraid at first," Nara said honestly. But then I started paying attention to what you actually do instead of what you look like, and what you do is pretty decent actually." The beast had absolutely no idea what to say to that. It was the nicest thing anyone had said to him in 17 years. Nara judged the beast by his actions, not his looks. That's a really important lesson. Can you think of a time when someone surprised you once you got to know them? On day 28, Nara found the glass ball. It was in the old throne room, floating a little above the floor, glowing faintly. Inside was a flower bud, still closed tight, dark red, pulsing like a tiny heartbeat. Nara studied it. She reached out her hand but didn't touch it. "This is the curse, isn't it?" she said without turning around. The beast had followed her. He was standing in the doorway. "Yes," he said quietly. "And the flower only opens when—" He finished the sentence slowly. "When someone comes here knowing what I am and loves me anyway, by their own choice. It has not happened in 17 years. I stopped waiting for it." Nara looked at the little sleeping flower bud for a long moment. Then she looked at the beast. "Did you stop wanting it?" she asked. The beast had no answer. Just then, the flower bud pulsed, a little stronger than usual, just once, like a tiny, hopeful heartbeat. Neither of them talked about it, but both of them noticed. On day 31, Nara cleaned up part of the old ballroom. She swept away broken glass and dust. She found all the candles she could and lit them one by one. The candlelight bounced off the broken crystal pieces on the floor and ceiling. Little sparkles of light danced on the walls. The room looked magical. The beast stood in the doorway watching her. "What did this room used to look like?" Nara asked. The beast looked around slowly. "Beautiful," he said. "There were dances every winter, music, lots of people." He paused. "I wasn't very kind to those people. I'm sorry they left." It was the first time he had said sorry for anything. It came out a little stiff, like a door that hadn't been opened in a long time, but he meant it. Nara smiled at him, then she held out her hand. "It's just us," she said, "so it'll be a very small dance. But I think a small dance in a room that remembers dancing is better than no dance at all." The beast looked at her little hand. He looked at his own huge clawed hand. He thought about how silly this was. He thought about how she never did what he expected. He took her hand. They danced. It was clumsy at first. He was much bigger than her. But then they figured it out. The wind came through the broken windows and made a soft sound, almost like music. Sparkles of candlelight moved around them on the floor. When they stopped, they didn't let go of each other's hands right away. Neither of them wanted to be the one to let go first. That night, in the throne room, the flower bud shifted. One tiny petal, just one, began to uncurl at the edge. The dark red color at the center was getting a little warmer, a little brighter. The flower was waking up. The beast said sorry for the first time. Saying sorry when you've been wrong is really hard, but really important. Why do you think he waited so long to say it? Nara had not planned on falling in love with the beast. She had come to the castle to keep her dad safe. That was the plan. Just 60 days, then home. But things changed, slowly, day by day, in small moments. It was the way he always found interesting books and left them where she could discover them. It was the way he remembered that she liked pear soup and quietly made sure it was ready at dinner. It was the 3-hour argument they had one afternoon about whether a famous old bridge had been built wrong. They both laughed so hard at the end that the beast looked surprised by his own laughter. It was the way he listened, really listened, like every word she said actually mattered. Nara thought about all of this for a long time. Then, on day 43, she walked into the library where the beast was reading and said, "I need to tell you something true. I think I'm in love with you. I'm saying it because I think you deserve to hear honest things, and because, I wouldn't feel right keeping it secret." The beast went very, very still. "Don't say that just to be nice," he said quietly. "I don't do things just to be nice. Ask my dad. Being nice is not really my specialty. I say what I mean. I always say what I mean." She looked at him steadily. "I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know." The beast sat down slowly. He put his big face in his big hands. He was quiet for a very long time. Then he said, "I don't know if I deserve good things. I was not a good person before all this. I was selfish and mean, and I didn't care about anyone." "I know," Nara said simply. "I found your castle's old records on day 6. I read them. You were not good." She sat down across from him. "But you've also been alone for 17 years, thinking about everything you did wrong, learning to cook, read a whole library, and keep a pear tree alive that grew all by itself to keep you company." Nara told the truth, even when it was scary. She also gave the beast a chance to change. Do you believe people can really change? What does it take? On the 59th day, Nara packed her bag. She stood in the courtyard with the pear tree glowing above her. The beast stood 10 feet away. He was giving her space. He was very good at giving people space. He had learned, finally, that it was important. "The 60 days are almost over," he said quietly. "You should go while the weather is nice." "I'm going to go home," said Nara, "and then I'm going to come back." The beast looked at her. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to," Nara said, a little exasperated but smiling. "We have talked about this. I do things because I choose to, not because I have to. How many times do I need to say it?" The beast was quiet. Then, very softly, "Once more would be nice." Nara laughed. She stepped forward and put her hands on his big, furry face and looked into his orange ember eyes. "I will come back," she said. "Keep the library windows shut when the wind comes from the north. The old glass cracks if it gets too cold." Then she walked to the gate and through the forest, all the way home. The beast closed the gate behind her. He stood in the empty courtyard next to the pear tree. The silence was much heavier now that he knew what it felt like without her. Every morning he stood before the glass ball and watched the flower. It had 7 petals open now, warm and red. It was not dying. It was waiting. He waited too. At home in Calwick, Nara sat with her dad at the kitchen table. Oswin looked at his daughter's face and said simply, "You love him." "Yes," said Nara. "He was a mean, selfish king," said Oswin. "He was," said Nara. "He's also someone who spent 17 years completely alone, thinking about everything he did wrong, learning to cook and read and take care of a pear tree that grew all by itself to keep him company. People are not just what they used to be, Dad." Oswin thought about this for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. That was enough. Nara walked north again 12 days later. She did not need a light this time. She knew the way. The gate opened before she reached it. The beast was in the courtyard, next to the pear tree. He turned around the moment he heard her footsteps. He stood very still and waited. Nara walked right up to him. She looked up at his big ember eyes. "I told you I'd come back," she said, and then she stood on her tiptoes and kissed him. Bring, bring! In the throne room, the glass ball made a sound like 100 tiny bells all ringing at once. The flower opened. All the petals, all of them, burst open at the exact same moment. White light poured out of the glass ball, flooding the whole throne room. Each petal that fell from the flower landed on the stone floor as a tiny glowing point of light, like a little star, for every year of the curse. Outside the courtyard, Nara felt something changing. She held on and did not let go. The dark fur slowly pulled back. The huge shape became smaller. The beast's big clawed hands became regular hands. The ember orange eyes stayed the same color. They just looked warmer now. more golden brown, like sunlight through leaves. And then, standing in front of Nara, was a man. He was tall, he had dark hair and a strong jaw and a small scar on his chin when he was a kid, and those same warm amber eyes, looking at her like she was the most important thing in the world. Outside the castle walls, the black thorny vines began to shrink back. Gray stone appeared underneath. The sky above the courtyard cracked open. The dark storm clouds pulled apart, and sunshine came through for the first time in 17 years. The pear tree glowed brighter than ever in the sunlight.